Hello, I'm Airfreckles, and this is Airfreckles Creates. We are watching me do a painting here. All I did before I started recording was I primed the canvas and I sprinkled some splattered some stars on there. And that was when I decided I was going to record it. So I just got everything ready for me to paint. And what I'm doing now is I'm just getting my stencils out so I can get my cloud shapes. And the first color that I use is purple, and I add a little bit of iridescence shimmer to it. And these are stencils that I made myself. And here I actually started a little bit too far, and you'll see me correct it later. But I started a little bit too far to the edge. And I'm using a stencil brush, and I'm just stenciling the shape that I want. Having the canvas in this position is actually easier for my shoulder. I do have a small easel, but it's very flimsy and it falls over very easily, so I don't use it. I have an injured shoulder, and having it in this position actually helps my shoulder. You can see me rubbing my shoulder a couple times there. But yeah, this is a better position for me to work with. Here is where I realized that I went too far whenever I was repositioning the stencils, but I knew I could fix it, so I was just like, oh well. Put my stencils away. Adding a little bit of white to my paint, I think. That's what I'm doing here. Just to kind of lighten it up a little bit. And I'm going over it with a sponge and kind of spreading it out a little bit to give it just a little bit of see-through factor. Generally, I take the sound out of my videos after I record them, because I have a lot going on behind me, and I have my kids coming in and opening the door, and we're having conversations and everything like that, and so I just kind of edit out the sound and add in music to the background whenever I'm going through and editing these to get them to where they're time-lapsed. I gather up all my stuff, I go wash it, and then I come back. And here's where I am covering up where I went a little bit too far. My next stencil out, which has a different shape to it. I'm getting a red out this time. And again, I add the iridescence into it. I think I actually use scarlet red for this one. This is my stencil brush. The bristles are starting to come out of it. Checking my progress there. My stencils and setting them aside so they can dry. And I forgot to add white. Now I'm adding white back into it. I noticed that I forgot to add the white into it. And now I'm adding the white and mixing it in. There we go. And now it's going translucent again with me sponging it. Acrylic paint dries really fast, so especially when you're just putting it down a little thin layer like I am doing. So you've got to take your time and go a little bit at a time. And pull more bristles out that are falling off so they don't get in my painting. don't know why it went like that. That's the iridescent. That is antique gold is what I have right there. And I'm mixing them together. And this time I did not add any white to it because the gold was actually kind of nice and see-through already, so I didn't add any white to this one. And here I am getting out a stencil of a cross, and it has some rays coming off of it. And this first color yellow that I mix up, I actually don't end up liking that color, but rather than scraping it off, I just let it dry, and then I replace the stencil over top of it again and put a new color on it. I was going over the edge there, and I didn't want to have a line, so I decided to go ahead and tape it up. And this is a new day. I forgot to push record when I was starting to paint the world, and I realized it when I was about halfway through my first coat there. Trying to actually get this on thick enough that it actually covers up all the stars in the background. I believe for the blue I did cobalt blue for the water on the world, on the earth. And now I think I'm getting hunter's green or forest green. Out my yellow mix. I believe I use light yellow and neon yellow to get the color that I wanted. It was a little tiny bit smudged because I didn't have the stencil perfectly lined up, but I'll fix it later. That was yellow ochre and burnt umber. A little bit of burnt umber mixed in with it to get that color. Added a little bit more burnt umber there to darken it up just a little bit. This is where I'm going to touch up the area around the cross to where it's not so blurred and fuzzy. I initially was going to use toothpicks, but it wasn't depositing the paint down like I wanted it to, so I would just switched over to the paintbrush. That's the neon yellow and that's the light yellow. I'm adding some iridescence to it to stretch out the paint a bit. That is it slows the paint dry time down, so you have a little bit longer to work with it. And I was initially going to try to do my lines from the cross with just the ruler, but it wasn't quite working. And it was just a little bit on the light side, so I think I added a little bit of the burnt umber into it to kind of darken it up, or the yellow ochre to darken it up just a little bit. I'm having the rays from the cross go behind the earth. Yeah, that was where I added in the paint to darken it just a little bit. Kind of smudged a little bit right there, and I'm just touching it up where it's smudged. And then I just follow the rays around. And I stop at the clouds and at the earth because the rays are going behind the earth and they're coming from the clouds, not going into the clouds. So overall, the total time on this painting, I think it took me about close to 5 hours to completely finish it. And I edited it. I didn't think you guys wanted to watch a 5-hour video, so I just edited it down and time-lapsed it to the time of it is. The 5 hours isn't counting the drying time that I would let it sit and dry in between times and stuff too. So. And I didn't mind if the rays were a little bit translucent and you could see the stars behind it. I was okay with that. It's just some titanium white. Adding a little bit of iridescence to it primarily to help my paint last a bit longer. Now I'm just going to be putting the atmospheric clouds on the Earth. So I'm taking a fan brush and just like lightly dipping it in the paint, and then I'm just kind of twisting it and twirling it, and then I go back with a dry stencil brush and kind of floof them out a little bit. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed the painting. Remember, you can do all things in Christ who gives you strength. The title of this painting is John 3:16. You guys are awesome, and continue. I'll see you in the next one.